Hello, everybody. Cradle fans, Progression Fantasy fans, we are back. This is Information Requested. I am your host, Bamfs, alongside Remixed. Back in the saddle again, buddy.
Finally.
Welcome.
It's been a long, long time coming. Sorry, everybody, for the absence that came about so suddenly, but we're finally here.
Just to be fair, and if anyone's curious about the absence, Remix put a video up on the YouTube channel, the Bamfilosophy YouTube channel. We recorded this episode before.
We did.
But we had some technical difficulties, and my voice was completely removed from the recording. And so it was just remixed, talking about, life, love, and the pursuit of progression in Cradle.
I sounded like a crazy person. Bloodline. Talking to myself with a mute Bamf just nodding away, so wasn't the best thing. But yeah, so we're gonna play catch up here over the past almost month now. What's been going on in both of our lives? So let's start with you. What's been going on?
Yeah, I've been trying to continue writing my fantasy fiction progression novel. It's going okay. I'm at the point where I'm just like writing a little bit every day and trying to get through the chapters that I have in my head. I've plotted it out. Things are good. But that's what I've been working on in my downtime. I've also been doing a lot of reading. We can talk about one of the books that this is like a strong recommend. It's the first strong recommend, and we'll get into that in a bit. And then I have a goal. This is totally not information requested content, not even adjacent, but I have a goal to win a poker tournament, an online poker tournament with over 800 entrants. I have a goal to win one. I've cashed them many times, and I think the best I've ever done is I made a final table and got 9th, which is last place of the final table.
That's still cool. I love play poker, but never anything like that. I only ever play online.
That's how much of a nerd I am. I study it, and I have a weekly game that I play with my friends. And
wow,
actually, one of the Cradle community plays, Opsor. He plays, and so I get to collect his money every week, and it's great.
Yeah, well, just kidding. Maybe I'll.
He's won. Yeah, if you want to play, let me know.
I'm definitely down to give it a shot. I don't know how good I am. I only play online.
We will expose you.
I'm sure.
Actually, most people that play aren't that great, but it'll be cool because if you play, then we can talk shit to each other on the podcast, the following podcast.
Yeah,
I think that would be enjoyable. So yeah, that's what I mean. That's kind of what I've been doing. Oh, I might be starting a Dungeons and Dragons group again. So that might be something to talk about later, because I used to play all the time, haven't played in a while, but a close friend of mine is starting up a group. He's going to be the DM, and so I think I'm going to play that. But otherwise, business as usual. I mean, I've been super busy, but nothing like, what you're going through. So what's up?
What's going on in the world of the Remix stuff? So work has been pretty busy. For those of you that don't know, I'm a software engineer. So at the end of the year, or near the beginning of the year, things are usually pretty busy. That's when a lot of deadlines start coming due, and you start having to do bug fixes and deadlines. If you saw the Cyberpunk 2077 release, that little squeeze that came out of CD Projekt Red, imagine that. Not quite as insane as a video game release, but releasing software is like that in pretty much every company. So if you can imagine the kind of things that come up through that's basically what I've been going through for the past almost 2 months now. But it really ramped up last month, and then my computer blew up, quite literally.
But you got super lucky. Tell us about what you found when you went to the computer store.
Oh, so there was a 3070 just happened to come in stock. Yeah,
was it GTX 30?
Yeah, RTX
3070
happened to be,
which are really hard to find.
Yeah, super hard to find those, and it just happened to fall into my lap. So that was lucky.
How many were at the store? How many?
Just
one.
Did
they have?
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah, I got to Micro Center and I just jokingly said, "Well, if you have any 3070s back there, I take one of those, and they're like, "Wait, hold on, the truck just came in. There might be one," and then there was, and I was like, "Okay." So
that's stupid lucky.
It is so lucky, especially because I was really angry that day because I did not want to have to buy new computer parts. My computer wasn't that old to begin with, so yeah, that was pretty crazy. So also, my wife is pregnant. She's got about 60 days left until our son is due to be born. So we are feeling that, and by we I mean she is feeling that quite a bit. She says it feels like her organs are in a vice, and I'm not jealous of that at all. So I've been doing, what I can to support that.
Well, again, congrats.
Thank you so much. We're super excited.
Remixts Junior brewing.
Yeah, if he beats me at video games, I'm gonna have to disown him though. So we'll have to.
Better get your practice.
I'm just kidding.
You've got like 8 years of head start on him before he starts to try and compete. So with regards to how, things are going, Remix and I have come up with a plan for how we can still consistently release these podcasts. And it's going to come in the form of, like, if he's busy, I'll do a podcast and I'll pull someone in to do an interview, or I'll do a solo rant, which I'm fully capable of doing, as you've seen with my YouTube videos. I'll just make them more of like podcasty focused. And then if I'm super busy, he'll do one. He'll do like a Bloodline rant or something like that, or give an Unreal Engine update and follow our normal podcasting format. That way, no matter what, we can always have these podcasts coming to you to sprinkle your ears with joy and make you all happy. That's the whole point of information requested, to make the rabid, fans of this subgenre happy.
Awesome.
We're here to serve.
Absolutely, we are. Just to talk about that a little bit, I wanted to talk about how awesome you guys are for kind of welcoming me to the community, as far as just kind of getting in on Bamf's channel. The positivity and the feedback and the comments and everything like that has been really awesome. So it's been really cool to see you guys be so accepting of a new member that kind of just came out of nowhere. So I do really appreciate it. So
be nice to him. Save your your anger and your rage for me.
I mean, if you have something constructive to say, go for it. But I'm also pretty thick-skinned, so if you wanna just be one of those people and yell at me for no reason, I'll be there for you. But yeah, the general content of the channel is definitely gonna be spinning up quite a bit now that we have a plan in place. Even you have a couple of things planned for the future already, don't you?
Yeah, I have some videos that I want to do, but I also have some interviews that I want to do. Many of you have seen my Lost Bet videos, and in those videos, I reference a singular demonic individual by the name of Blue, or Lil Blue. He is the admin of the Discord. He has been involved in Will White's, I don't know, fandom since almost the beginning, I would say. I mean, I'll let him speak to it whenever I interview him. But we have some stuff we want to talk about, kind of give y'all some history on how the betting came to be. And then we want to talk about a variety of topics. But the main topic is the difference between a good book and a book that you enjoy. They're very different things, and it's okay to enjoy a book that's not good. And it's okay to not enjoy a book that is considered, quote unquote, good.
Right.
But so that'll be fun. And then I have a couple, other interviews brewing that I, maybe we'll announce at some point in the future. But a lot of good content. At some point, we want to get some authors on here. We want to grow it a little bit. But yeah, maybe we'll have some fun little guests coming in the future.
Awesome.
I think that you all will really enjoy. There's some stuff in the works. Great content coming for those that have requested this information.
Speaking of information requested, that is the official name of our podcast from now on. And we have a winner. We've actually had a winner for quite a while.
Yeah, we've had a winner for a while. He actually gave me his information to send to him, but I don't know if you can see. There we go. Signed copy of Unsold. In fact, someone posted their signed copy of Unsold
on the subreddit. Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, man, stop stealing our thunder. But that post got like 400 upvotes. So someone else is going to get one, and that person goes by the name of Soul Knife. Soul Knife joined the Discord, gave me his info, and has been patiently waiting for us to release this podcast announcing his victory. I guess I could have sent it to him already, but I've been waiting for this podcast for some reason. So sorry, Soul Knife.
Very sorry.
Apologies, my friend.
We'll get that out to you ASAP, Soul Knife. And we did already record a congratulatory video once, and like I said earlier, the audio got screwed up, so that's what happened.
Yeah, it was just me like silently waving this book around.
Yeah, just showing it to you. So thanks again for your patience, Soul Knife, and we'll definitely get that out to you. And congratulations, and thanks for the name. That seems so obvious, and now that we're what's that? Hindsight is 2020. Information requested is definitely a good name for the podcast. So we really appreciate those suggestions, and we hope to have some sort of a contest in the future. We don't have any ideas yet, so if you've got an idea for a contest where we can reward the community in some way, then definitely leave some feedback either here or in the Discord. We'd really appreciate it. And
I have a good contest already.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
This is not happening yet, but everyone can start thinking. What is going to be the title of the 10th book?
Title of the 10th book. Ooh, and then we'd come up with like who's closest gets something, maybe the top 3 or something like that. It'd be an interesting little thing.
Maybe. Or maybe like the 3 titles we like the most, even if nobody gets it.
That could be a thing. I'd want it to be a pun because I'm predisposed to puns, especially because I'm about to be a dad. So I've actually got a book that my wife got for me for Christmas. It's 101 so bad they're good dad jokes. I don't know if I can show it to my camera. Yep, there it is. It's going to be backwards. So, never mind, my camera.
Yeah, and if you're seeing the like dark abyss, if you're watching on the YouTube, this is the byproduct of Remixts brand new graphics card that he got lucky to find. It is creating a dark abyss behind him, so we can focus on his lovely face.
Yeah, it's definitely not because my room's super dirty and I didn't want that to show up.
Definitely not.
But yeah. So congratulations to Soul Knife. We have one more thing before we get to the main Cradle related content, and that is what we're currently reading and why you should probably also read it.
Yeah, so I want you to go first on this one.
Oh, okay.
Actually, because I want to kind of expound on mine a little bit, and I don't want to take too long.
So I'm reading a book called Shadeslinger currently, and it is
Shadeslinger.
Yeah, Shadeslinger. The title actually is a little corny, but it is really good. So let me think. The best way to describe the plot is imagine if Tony Stark found out that there was a brand new video game coming out. It was state of the art, and there were 50 slots available to start the game 3 days early. And those 50 slots went to the highest bidder. And Tony Stark is Tony Stark, and he wants all 50 slots. So he buys all of the entries so he can play the game by himself for 3 days. So the main character of this book is basically an asshole who wanted to get an advantage in a new MMORPG. I
have to say, this sounds like a lit RPG.
It is a lit RPG. I don't know why I keep recommending lit RPGs in a progressive fantasy podcast,
hey,
but
at least you're consistent.
They are progressive, so there's that. They're just hyper progressive. This is now the hyper progressive fantasy podcast.
Like they get levels.
Yeah, like actual. There's actual levels and experience points and stats and all that. So if you like Dungeons and Dragons, but you don't get to play, you just have to. Never mind. I don't want to talk down about RPG. This is a good book. So anyway, in Shadeslinger, this multi-millionaire gets early access to a video game by himself. The developer doesn't like that, so he asks the millionaire like what he plans on rolling as a character before the guy knows that the developer doesn't like him, and they give him an AI that hates that. So he's like, I want to roll a mage. So they give him like an AI assistant that hates mages. So his AI is like predisposed to not giving him the information he needs, and he keeps trying to make him like roll like a melee class. And it's actually pretty funny how they interact with each other. But yeah, that's the beginning of that book in a nutshell. And I would have to say that it's really good. It's one of those things that the protagonist isn't, just some guy that's like super good at video games. Like I feel like is 99% of lit RPGs. At this point, it's just somebody that's really good at video games. This is just a guy that's rich and kind of an asshole, and
it's really good at making money.
Is not even that he inherited his money. It's this guy is not necessarily the best at anything, and just happens to have a lot of money, and it follows his character development more so than his character development, if that makes sense. So,
kind of a pun.
Yeah. Highly recommend Shadeslinger if you are looking for a lit RPG to read. Now, what about you? What have you been reading?
And if you're looking for a progression fantasy book on the Information Requested podcast, I've got one for you. It's actually interesting, too, because this author, upon finishing her most recent trilogy, tried to send Cradle fans to a different series. I think it's the series she's writing on Patreon, but she has I don't think it's a standalone book, but it's pretty long. It's like 750 pages. And this is, of course, Sarah Lynn and her book, The Brightest Shadow. It is a progression fantasy book. It involves cultivation, but it has a nice, interesting twist. So in this series, humans are not the most civilized of races on the planet. They have control, for the most part, of a continent, and they have some kingdoms. They have, some nomadic tribes and whatnot, and they have some cultivation masters. However, there is an invading race called the Death Spawn. That's what the slang term for them is.
Okay.
And they are much stronger as a civilization in terms of cultivation. I would say they have a lot more underlords, so to speak, and they have a lot. I think they might be some of the only military that has what we would call like a herald. They have, I think, 8 heralds as in terms of like quality of fighting. Now a herald, or they're called Zetai. There's the Kutai and Zetai. The Kutai are like underlords, in my opinion, and the Zetai are like a herald, so to speak. And
power level wise, you mean?
Yeah, right? But even then, like a herald would wipe the floor with any Zetai. But in terms of like pinnacle of strength on this planet, so it's really interesting the way that the main characters determine how progressed they are is their ability to sense their madra, so to speak, with various of their 5 senses. So our main character, she can smell madra before anything else, and then she learns how to taste it. Excuse me, and then I don't know what else because I'm not that far in. But it's interesting. There's a lot of really interesting elements to it. Each of the characters feels very unique. There's many human cultures that are fleshed out that have their own traditions. Even amongst one civilization, there's multiple tribes that have their own quirks, and that's all fleshed out. The human continent is very fleshed out. It feels like a very the world building happened way ahead of time. And there's an interesting plot point where it appears that the humans have this legend of a hero, which seems super corny, but there's like a magical bloodline, or like a magical, I don't know what you'd call it, that only one human at a time can possess.
This is starting to sound a lot like Dragon Ball Z, like the legendary Super Saiyan.
Well, kind of, but if only there could only be one Super Saiyan, and if the Super Saiyan was killed, someone else would then be able to achieve that level of power. Like there can only be one Highlander.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So Dragon Ball Z meets Highlander. That sounds pretty.
It's really
pretty
good
promising.
Though. It's like the scope, like the power creep is not very. It's I mean, it's an 800-page book, so I feel like it's almost like 3 Cradle books in one. And I feel like I just finished like the first third, so I feel like I finished the first book, and I still have 66% of the book left.
I love that feeling.
Really it's so rewarding. Yeah, there was like this big battle that just happened, and we got to see some cool stuff. I highly recommend this book for anyone who wants to scratch their cultivation itch. It's well written. There's very human elements to it. Like they have something very akin to PTSD. So like for the young warriors who haven't experienced a lot of violence, when they experience violence, it like mentally screws them up, and they have to work through that. And not everybody is good at everything. Our main characters have their strengths. Most of our main characters come from different civilizations, so their paths or their like sect path is different. Their beliefs about cultivation are different, and they start to learn about the world together as they progress through it, and helping each other out. I don't know. It's a really rewarding book. I recommend it.
Awesome.
I'm not going to go too much further into it, but yeah.
We'll leave the links to these both of these books in the description for you. Definitely check them out if you're interested. We're not sponsored in any way.
Shadeslinger.
Shadeslinger. So, not to go too much further into the book recommendations, but there actually is a progressive fantasy book that I've been reading that it's in the bonus. I thought you said bonus. Okay. I do promise. It's not a lit RPG. It's called Death Cultivator. It is YA. So it's targeted, I think, at like more like 18-year-olds, which I think a lot of the Cradle fan base is roughly that age as well. So this is starts off in like Earth as it is today, but quickly turns into something else. So I'm trying to remember what happens in the first chapter, so there's not too many spoiler kind of things happening. Okay, so basically, this kid gets taken by the Grim Reaper by mistake. He has the same name as somebody that was supposed to murder or try to murder his grandfather, and in defending his grandfather, he kills this guy. But instead, but the Grim Reaper comes to take the guy that he killed, but instead accidentally takes him, because the guy that tried to kill his grandfather has the same name as him minus 1 letter. And I can't remember the name of the murderer, so I don't want to go into that. So in order to try to cover up the mistake that the Grim Reaper makes, because Grim Reapers aren't supposed to make mistakes, it's actually an angel, quote unquote, according to the book, but it's the Grim Reaper. Sends him off to this punishment planet in an alternate universe that is supposed to be for criminals. So this kid that's still in high school just gets thrown onto this planet full of like murderers, and gets sentenced to like 100 years or something like that to cultivate essence as his punishment. And so basically he's supposed to cultivate, and then most of that, if not all of it, gets taken away from him, that essence that he cultivates, and gets sent to somewhere. It's basically a currency on this planet. So yeah, that's the plot of the opening plot of that book, and it explodes quite a bit. It kind of reminds me of the environment. Kind of reminds me of Rango. I don't know if you remember that movie. With Johnny.
With the gecko?
Yeah, the gecko with Johnny Depp. It kind of makes me think about that. I don't know why, but
I went to see that movie in the theaters, and it's one of the only movies I went to see in the theaters that I genuinely felt like I wanted to get up and leave.
Yeah, I didn't think the movie was very good, but the book is amazing. But the environment, like the Western kind of feeling environment, it feels like a Western cultivation kind of thing. It's super good. Highly recommend it. Also, we will leave the link in the description for that. But that is a bonus book. So let's quickly move on to the next thing.
Chapter 1, where an angel makes a mistake and imprisons a human child with a bunch of murderers.
Yeah, basically.
sounds like a great angel.
Yeah. Well, just wait. Never mind. I don't want to spoil anything. Definitely pick that book up. So, we've covered pretty much everything except for Cradle so far. And for Cradle, we have a treat for you.
So let me give some context.
All right.
Last time we got on this and we recorded it, we had originally planned on talking about like theories around Bloodline, which quickly turned into Remix's version of what he thinks Bloodline should be if he was the author.
Right.
So we decided that since that was so, wonderful that it turned into that, we're going to do it on purpose this time for real. And
right.
I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to let Remix tell me what he thinks the plot of Bloodline should be if he was writing it based on what he's read already. So it's kind of a predictive game, but also a like self-fulfilling, like this is what I would do type of situation.
If I were Will White, how would I write Bloodline? And I'm not Will White, so
I'm going to silently judge him for all of his decisions.
Right. Go ahead and feel free to judge me for this. Everyone else in the comments as well. If you totally disagree with me, just let me know. Let me have it.
Let us know what you think of Remix predictive capabilities. If you think his plot makes sense, if you think he should write, Bloodline.
And please don't say that.
But without further ado, please tell me what you think is going to be in Bloodline.
Right. Oh, one more thing. This will be in parts because it's going to be pretty long, especially with my long-windedness and tangential state of mind. So this will probably be the first third of Bloodline, not the whole book. So look forward to the next 2 episodes if you want to hear how it's going to end. Or at least how I think it's going to end. And it's going to get crazier and crazier because the further away we get from Winter's Steel, the less information I'll have to go off of what's actually going to happen. So it's going to be a parallel universe by the time we get to the end. Anyway, so we're here. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear you. First third of Bloodline.
What's happening?
Okay. All right, so we're at the end of Winter's Steel. Let's think about what happened at the end of Winter's Steel first. So, because I'm just jumping into this fresh. So, Lyndon manifested the Void Icon. Okay.
Manifests the Void Icon.
Mm-hmm.
He is freaking out about the Wandering Titan finally being awakened.
Mm-hmm.
We have Northstrider abandoning his battle with Raygon Shen because the Wandering Titan is awakened and he has stuff to do elsewhere. Okay. We have an injured Athen telling Lyndon about the icons, forges him a Winter Steel badge. And then we have their cloud ships appearing. Yaren and Lyndon's cloud ship appears, and then they kiss on the very last page. And then we have Athen's farming ship that gets attached to it.
Right.
And then Zeal shows up, having had his spirit repaired. And this isn't explicitly stated, but he wouldn't have signed the contract unless Athen had performed that like spirit healing thing. So we have Zeal arriving on his ship, which looks, generic and cookie cutter. He does not attach it, but he parks next to it and gets out and says, "So where are we going?" But then Lyndon says home. But they are in the 9 Cloud Court. They're in the 9 Cloud Kingdom right now.
Right. Okay.
That's the stage. What happens next?
All right. So, first we want to talk about, I want to talk about Zeal. As you just so eloquently put it, Zeal is likely healed by Athen, or at least the process has started enough to have Zeal believe what Athen was selling him as far as the contract goes. I think that Zeal was so messed up that he probably isn't back to his Archlord or Archlord, however you want to pronounce it, self yet. He is likely a lot better than he was at the end of Winter's Steel, where he was basically a true gold with Underlord capabilities. I would estimate his power to be roughly at the weak Overlord stage, and probably still pains him to use his Madra to its fullest capabilities. So a very weak Overlord is what I think Zeal is capable of. And that's important to note just for the context of the next thing, which is what happens when they get to Sacred Valley. I want to back up one more step. Is how do they get to Sacred Valley? Do they take the cloud ships, or do they use Linden's Void Icon or the Moonlight Bridge? This is something that I thought about quite a bit in the last episode that we ended up scrapping, and I think that this is a good way to explore the new capabilities of Linden and Yaren together as a team. So Yaren has the Moonlight Bridge. She can teleport anywhere she wants once every 3 days, pretty much, is like regardless of distance, if I'm remembering that correctly. Linden, we don't know this for sure, but I think the way Linden's capabilities work with the Void Icon is he can see where things like teleportation have occurred recently, or maybe even better than recently, I'm not sure yet, and reopen those things. He can open recently used teleportation. So if Yaren were...
bumps in space. He can see bends in space.
Okay.
Because of his authority over parts of reality.
Right. Okay. So if Linden can do that, then it's possible that they figure out how to, in tandem, use their powers to teleport the entire team wherever they need to go. So Yaren uses the Moonlight Bridge to teleport to Sacred Valley. Linden follows using his powers over the Void. I think that is one possibility. The other possibility is that they use the cloud ships to get there. The issue I have with the cloud ships is, for the sake of the plot, it doesn't seem like they would get there fast enough. I don't know how fast these cloud ships are from the Night Cloud Court, but it would be a race to get to Sacred Valley before the Wandering Titan starts destroying stuff, just based on the urgency from Orthos's perspective in the last book.
That they got are supposed to be fortresses, so they're not supposed to be fast.
Right.
But they're designed to be like a flying home. Yeah, so good point there.
Right. Okay. So I think that they will end up spending some time on these to recover, maybe, or to at least develop some sort of a plan. But using these powers probably in some way that Athen provides to them. Like, of course, Athen saw all of this coming somehow, and basically instructs Yaren to teleport and then for Linden to follow if they don't figure it out themselves. Linden's pretty resourceful. So anyway, let's just assume they get to Sacred Valley doing that or some similar method. Their cloud ships aren't there.
Because reasons.
Right.
Okay.
Also,
so real quick, for the sake of the meme, Arc Lords are always Arc Lords. They're never Arch Lords.
Got it. Arc Lord. Oh yeah,
they're always Arc Lords.
Arc Lords.
And for all of my Rage Lords out there, deal with it.
I mean,
all right, we're at Sacred Valley somehow because reasons. Now what?
Right. So we're in Sacred Valley. This is where we have to think about the goals of the team before they get there versus the information that Linden receives upon getting there. So Linden knows that his mom is in trouble and needs help. That's immediately going to...
He doesn't know that she's in trouble and needs help.
Right. He doesn't, but he will when he gets there, I guess, is the... Yeah, so he gets there and finds out, that his mom is in the Heaven's Glory School being held prisoner, if I remember right. And, of course, that upsets him. Huh?
Captured. She's been captured so that they can use her for her soul-smithing skills.
Right. So, of course, Linden isn't happy with that. And I think this is going to be one of those Dragon Ball Z-esque kind of scenes where there's a new villain that's way stronger, so the old villains are no longer anywhere near as a threat anymore, and this is going to be a good way to show how ridiculously strong both Lyndon and Yaren are compared to the last time they were in the Heaven's Glory School, by completely wiping the floor with them with little to no effort at all. I think it's a good way to show. It's kind of like the start of the next arc for Lyndon. We kind of ended the arc of Lyndon struggling to catch up, rather, with Winter Steel. He's pretty much caught up. He's still technically under Aethan and Yaren, but he's not a copper trying to deal with an underlord anymore. Like the gap is definitely shrinking, and it's not so much about power anymore as much as it is the power between them versus the power between them and the dread gods, I guess, if that makes sense. So this is a good way to like end that. This is like, okay, Lyndon is just ridiculously strong now. He's got full self-confidence. This just seals the deal because he destroys the Heaven's Glory School, rescues his mom with no problem. I think that there could be something that happens between him and his mom where she thinks something negative about him, and that hurts him more than him being incapable of protecting his family would hurt him. I don't know necessarily that what would happen, just because of how strength is perceived in the Wei clan, but I think that that's at least a possible worry Lyndon could have, is how his mom will see him versus how she probably sees him. So that could cause some tension, but as far as power goes, there's not going to be any tension. There's another point here that I could make, which is maybe there's a timeline, and that's the issue. Maybe they've got his mom hidden somewhere and he can't find her. Those are some things that I think that could happen. But he's not going to have any issues with defeating the Heaven's Glory disciples. The elephant in the room that I'm missing here actually is the Curse of Sacred Valley. I don't actually think it's called the Curse of Sacred Valley in the book, right?
But they call it the Curse of the Western Labyrinth. It's like it is the Cursed Valley, right? In some cultures, but I mean, actually, Min Shui, the Winter Sage, calls it that cursed place, or that like place with the barbarians. Right. But like, I want to comment on something you mentioned. I do think it would be cool or interesting to see Heaven's Glory like attacking someone that just got there. Because we know from Orthos and from the flashback of Tim the Sword Sage that the drain isn't immediate. I mean, it's just like a slow process. We don't know how slow or whatever, and we don't know if it's slower the stronger you are or the weaker you are. But how could a bunch of Jades kill a Sword Sage? It would be really interesting to see how those Jades and their techniques affect our party right when they arrive, just so we can get an idea of the actual gap between Jade and the Lord stage.
Right.
Anyway.
So I think even with the Western Labyrinth curse affecting them, they're still way above where they were before, and hopefully it'll be early enough upon their arrival that they won't need to worry about their level of strength as far as Heaven's Glory School. So I think that's going to be a minor inconvenience for them at the most, is rescuing his mom. So once that happens, I think that Zeal is actually going to be left out of this entire beginning of Sacred Valley arc. due to his recovery being affected by the curse of the Western Labyrinth. So I think that he wouldn't be able to get any better via Aethan's methods, whatever they are, while he's there. So he either might elect or might be asked or ordered by Aethan to remain on his cloud ship or stay in this town of Sacred Valley and like maybe just town of Sacred Valley, Jesus. Stay with like the Way Clan or something like that just to protect them. So I think that Zeal is going to intentionally be left away from them in the beginning, which I think will be a mistake that the characters make, is underestimating Zeal and leaving him when they eventually go into the labyrinth. So they're going to go into the labyrinth. The thing that I think will happen is they're going to talk to Elder Whisper. Lyndon is going to convince Elder Whisper to either show them the entrance to the labyrinth or show them like a path through the labyrinth or guide them in some way, be it either showing them or just telling them where to go. And this is going to be a great team building exercise for Lyndon and Yaren to also explore like what their capabilities are. Yaren being a sort of herald and him being a sort of sage. And then, of course, Aethan's going to find a way to disappear, I think, in the labyrinth in some way. He's going to do some sort of mysterious hocus pocus stuff that Aethan always does, and end up at the end of wherever they're going in the labyrinth alongside them, but I don't think they're going to get there together. And I think that's going to be an intentional thing from Aethan again.
So let's pause real quick.
Okay.
Recap. So the start of the book happens, and our team finds a way using their skills or their ships or something to get back across the world to Ashwind, get to Sacred Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Once they arrive, we are going to have a display of strength that will shame the Heaven's Glory School into submission or into death. We will have a rescue operation of Lyndon's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will have an awkward moment where Lyndon's mother insults him and hurts his feelings.
In some way, yeah.
Okay. Then we will have a adventure to Whisper, which will then lead to a discussion on how to get into the labyrinth or get through the labyrinth. And then we will have a field trip into the labyrinth where the camp counselor is going to disappear and leave our campers on this field trip by themselves, exploring on their own. And then I think you were saying when they get to their final destination, the camp counselor will magically be there?
Maybe not magically, and maybe not even, they might not arrive without Aethan being there, but I just think that Aethan's going to separate himself from Yaren and Lyndon in some way, and I think it will be intentional because he's probably got other motives that have something to do with him reaching Monarch. I guess maybe we need to back up a little bit as to the why they are going into the labyrinth, and I think that...
Question. Two things are happening. One, the Wandering Titan is wandering towards them, I think, because that's what he wants to do. Two, they're trying to evacuate somehow the people of Sacred Valley.
Right. So that's what I was going to with that's the why of the labyrinth. So the labyrinth is likely the key to evacuating everyone from Sacred Valley in a timely manner, because it is likely going to be a race. The thing that I'm having trouble with is Lyndon having powers over teleportation. Makes me think that should be... he doesn't have powers over teleportation. He has the void icon. But if they get there that way, why couldn't they leave that way, right?
He does have some authority over space. We know that,
right,
because of what he was able to do at the beginning of Wintersteel when he and Northstrider had a tug of war, and then what he was able to do at the end of Wintersteel when he, was able to open up. Actually, whenever he and Athan worked together to open up that portal.
Right.
So we know that he has some authority over space, but we also know that many sages have some authority over space.
Right. So I think what will happen is because reasons, and one of those reasons being the curse of the Western Labyrinth, Lyndon won't be able to use his powers of the void to teleport everybody out of harm's way in Sacred Valley.
I don't even think Charity could do that outside of the valley.
Right.
I think that's something only that monarchs can do with the assistance of a portal stone, kind of like what happened at the end of Wintersteel, getting people to evacuate whatever that place was called.
Sky's Edge. Yeah. So yeah, in order to get everybody out, they have to get people through the labyrinth. They probably would want to go down there and clear a path by themselves first, which is why it would just be the three of them. Maybe Zeal would be there, but I don't think in the beginning Zeal would be there. And if he is, maybe he gets cut off from them soon. I feel like if I were Will, I would want him to get. There's a problem a lot of authors have when you have a lot of characters. One of the examples, the best example of this is like any of the Avengers movies. When you have a bunch of characters that are worthy of being main characters in the same place, giving all of them enough screen time that's meaningful is really difficult. And that's why I keep gravitating towards splitting these characters up so much, is because if you have Zeal and Lyndon and Yaren and Athan all together, I think for too long, we run the risk of either leaving one of them out for too long and you lose where they're at in the plot, or the challenges that they face might not be challenging enough, or at least believable, if that makes sense. So that's why I think that they're going to be required to be split up in some way. And I think it makes sense to leave Zeal or somebody capable with the people from Sacred Valley, just in case something happens, like I don't know, an enemy shows up that wants to stop them from doing things for some reason. Maybe somebody we've forgotten in the past, like maybe the Blood Sage, not the Blood Sage. Is he? Yeah, the Blood Sage. Or somebody else could show up.
Yes, he is alive, and he is the Blood Sage.
Yeah. So anyway, so they're in the labyrinth. They find their way to the end of the labyrinth. This is a huge chunk of the book, by the way, is going to be the labyrinth, because why wouldn't it be? The labyrinth has been speculated upon for so long that I feel like it's got to play a big part in the book. Athan emerged on the other side of the portal that the labyrinth is connected to, didn't he? Or am I misremembering? Didn't he come out of a portal that was connected to that?
This is a fun thing that happens where I make a theory and I talk about it a lot, and then a lot of other people talk about it a lot, and then people think
it's real. Yeah. So that was a theory.
For sure, if the portal that Athan was forcibly either pushed or came through himself, that's on a 10-year cooldown. We don't know if that is connected to the labyrinth. I feel like there's overwhelming circumstantial evidence that it is, but until we get it clarified in canon, in the books, that that's true, it's just going to be smart speculation until then.
Right.
But yes.
Okay, so they clear the labyrinth. They get everything set up so they can yeet the entire population of Sacred Valley out of the out of Sacred Valley.
Just straight up yeet them out?
Yeet them.
Okay. On time. So I would let's wrap up the whole yeeting them out of the valley, and then let's close this out.
Right.
So we can keep ready for more.
So they have everything ready, and of course, not everyone wants to go. There's a resistance of people from Sacred Valley that want to try to protect their home from the thing. And next time we will talk about how that ends up causing issues and having a wrench thrown into it.
Heartburn in our main character.
Yeah. Yes.
Some existential angst.
Right. Okay, so that's part one of if I were to write Bloodline. Aren't we glad that I'm not writing Bloodline? Because holy crap, the tangents are real. So thank you guys for listening, and thanks again for being patient. Soul Knife will be reaching out to you and sending you your copy of Unsold that has been signed by Will White. We really appreciate all of the support, and make sure to join Discord so you can get updates as soon as they come. And Bamf, you got anything else to say?
Yeah, let us know what you thought of Remix's version of Bloodline in the comments. Let us know if you're happy to hear us again. Let us know what you think. And let us know what you want me to ask Blue, the demonic gambler, in an upcoming episode. Thanks,
Definitely
everybody, for listening.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
See ya.